Welcome to the Deep Dive. Our mission is simple. Take these huge stacks of industry research, cut right through the noise, and give you the actionable intelligence you need to help you stay ahead. Today, we are putting our focus squarely on foresight, looking ahead.
That's absolutely right. For this deep dive, we're synthesizing some really high-stakes forecasts. We're looking mainly at Gartner, one of the world's leading analysts.
Okay.
And the goal is to reveal the 10 most critical technology predictions that are, well, fundamentally going to reshape the landscape by 2026 and, even beyond.
But we're not stopping there, are we? We know that you, the learner, need more than just predictions. You need the actual tools.
Exactly.
So our second objective today is to pull back the curtain a bit. We're going to look at the exact AI-powered software and the strategic methods analysts are using right now to actually predict this future.
Yeah, we're really shifting the conversation, moving away from descriptive analytics, just looking back at what happened towards proactive foresight.
Understanding what will happen.
Yeah, precisely. Understanding what's coming, why it seems inevitable, and crucially, how you can prepare for it. We're essentially giving you a map of tomorrow's infrastructure and linking it directly to the AI tools you can leverage today for some pretty sophisticated market intelligence.
Okay, so to really grasp the intensity of this shift, I think we need to ground ourselves first. Let's talk dollars and cents.
Good idea.
Because the industry isn't just talking about predictive analytics anymore. They are investing massive, truly transformative amounts of capital into it.
Oh, absolutely. The financial path of this market, it tells a really clear story. It's all about transformation. So back in 2019, the global predictive analytics market was valued at about $5.7 billion.
Okay, $5.7 billion. Sounds like a solid, maybe maturing industry at that point.
You'd think so, but hold on to that number because the projected growth rate, well, it shows this isn't maturing. It's absolutely exploding.
Right.
This market is now projected to hit a revenue figure somewhere around $22.1 billion by the end of 2026.
$22.1 billion. Wow. That's
Yeah.
quite a jump from 5.7.
It's a staggering increase. It represents a compound annual growth rate, a KGR, of 24.5% between 2020 and 2026.
Okay, 24.5% CAGR. Can you put that into perspective for us?
Sure. Think of it like this. $1 invested in predictive capability back in 2020 is projected to be worth nearly $2.50 by 2026. It basically signals that pretty much every business, doesn't matter the size, now sees reliable foresight as a critical, high-return strategic asset.
And what exactly is fueling this massive leap? I mean, what's behind that 24.5% growth? Our sources point to a few drivers.
Yeah, there are several.
Growing industrialization, tech development, sure. But the primary accelerator seems to be the arrival of big data, right?
That's a huge part of it. When your data volume just scales up exponentially, the value of models that can process that data to predict outcomes, well, that scales exponentially right alongside it.
Makes sense. More data, more potential insight.
That's not just volume. The technological complexity is also increasing incredibly fast. It's about integration, too. We are seeing more demand among small and medium enterprises, SMEs, but the real core technological driver, that's the integration of the Internet of Things, IoT, and specialized AI into the analytics stack.
Ah, okay. So IoT plus AI.
Exactly. Imagine hundreds of millions of sensors collecting real-time data, combined with sophisticated AI models processing that stream instantly. Your predictive power just skyrockets.
Now, I have to pause on that point
Yeah,
because the sources seem to mention a bit of a contradiction here.
Oh.
You highlight increasing demand from SMEs as a growth driver, but then another section points to the lack of skilled IT personnel as a major challenge, something limiting adoption. How can both be true? If SMEs don't have the staff, how are they driving this massive market growth?
That's an excellent point, a really good challenge, and it actually reveals the true nature of this growth.
Okay.
Look, if traditional implementation required highly skilled data scientists and IT specialists, which you're right, SMEs often lack because of cost, then the growth probably wouldn't be this high. The answer really lies in accessibility. This market growth is being driven by the arrival of specialized, often cloud-based AI tools that are democratizing predictive analytics.
Ah, so the tools are bridging the skills gap.
Precisely. SMEs aren't necessarily hiring massive teams. They're essentially outsourcing the capability through easier-to-use software. We'll actually detail some of those tools later in our how-to section.
That makes perfect sense. The software itself is solving the personnel bottleneck.
Okay, so beyond the growth stats, we're also seeing the industry react to this AI-first world in real time.
We are.
We have sources detailing some pretty high-stakes corporate moves that, while they prove this AI-driven economy isn't coming, it's already here.
Yeah, the moves are definitely strategic and sometimes, frankly, ruthless.
Like Amazon.
Exactly. Amazon publicly used AI as a justification for a significant number of layoffs, 14,000, according to our report.
14,000, that's a very public statement. It is. It's a pointed demonstration that efficiency gained from automation is being prioritized. It sets a powerful precedent, really. AI isn't just for optimization anymore. It's a strategic part of workforce and operational planning.
Then you have these huge strategic capital investments, the ones that reshape the power structure completely.
Like Microsoft and OpenAI.
Right. Microsoft now holds, what, 27% of the capital of OpenAI's new for-profit company?
Yeah, 27%. And that's not just a partnership or a vendor relationship. It's an absolute intertwining of their futures. It gives Microsoft really deep influence over where foundational AI models are heading.
And on the hardware side, that's where the future architectures are really built.
Look at NVIDIA, the
Yeah.
dominant chip player, right? They invested $1 billion in Nokia.
$1 billion in Nokia. Why?
It shows this deep commitment to integrating specialized hardware and AI into infrastructure sectors. It's particularly about accelerating the development of what we call physical AI,
Okay.
which depends heavily on fast, distributed processing across vast networks like the ones Nokia helps build.
And finally, there's a signal about the cloud market's direction that might get missed sometimes. IBM Cloud.
Ah, yes, stopping new signups for its VMware service.
Exactly. Ceased signing and seeking new clients. It seems subtle, but it feels like a strong indicator that major players are recalibrating their core offerings. Why step away from a profitable, established service like VMware?
It's about optimizing for the future, not hanging on to the legacy. VMware, while it's everywhere, it's often not well optimized for the specialized high-intensity workloads needed by modern AI and maybe even quantum computing down the line.
So IBM is looking ahead.
I think so. IBM seems to be signaling it needs to dedicate its resources toward those future architectures. Architectures better suited for specialized AI or maybe sovereign cloud deployments, which ties into that geopatriation idea we'll get to later.
Right.
These moves, taken together, they're clear evidence of a market actively shifting away from traditional infrastructure towards an AI-first world.
Okay, so we've seen the market signals. Big investments, strategic shifts, all pointing towards AI first. Now let's unpack this further. Let's move from the current dynamics where the money's flowing, power shifting, to the analyst predictions that are defining tomorrow's infrastructure.
Let's do it.
We're diving into Gartner's 10 major forecasts for 2026 and beyond. We'll group them by theme, and we have to start with the absolute foundation, computation and architecture.
Right. The first prediction, Gartner calls it AI supercomputers. This is all about redefining raw compute power.
Okay.
By 2028, they predict over 40% of large enterprises will adopt hybrid IT architectures for their critical business processes.
Over 40%, that's a huge jump from what, only 8% today?
Exactly, a truly massive jump.
And this hybrid architecture, it's not just mixing cloud with on-premise data centers, is it? It's deeper than that.
Much deeper. It's mixing processing units right down at the chip level. We're talking about systems that seamlessly integrate traditional CPUs, powerful GPUs, dedicated AI, ASICs.
ASICs, right. Application-specific integrated circuits.
Yep. And crucially, also neuromorphic computing.
Yeah.
It really is like a technological orchestra, as you said, but getting them all to play together smoothly, that's the hard part.
So why the complexity? Why add neuromorphic chips into that mix? What do they do differently?
Well, neuromorphic chips are fundamentally different from, say, GPUs. They're designed to mimic the structure of the human brain.
Okay.
They specialize in continuous learning and event-driven processing, not batch processing like GPUs. This makes them incredibly efficient for tasks like real-time anomaly detection or constantly adjusting AI models on the fly.
And this whole architectural shift is needed because the workloads themselves are becoming so intensely complex
Yeah.
and time-sensitive.
Absolutely. The source material gives some great examples. Biotech companies modeling vaccines or drugs in weeks, not years.
Oh.
Fintech firms rapidly modeling global financial risks, spotting fraud patterns much faster. Utility companies optimizing complex power grids based on real-time weather conditions.
So this speed of innovation becomes the biggest competitive edge.
It really does. It's the key differentiator.
Okay, moving from the underlying hardware to the software agents using that power. Prediction number 2. Multi-agent systems, or MAS.
Mm-hmm. This is where AI moves beyond just one big general model. It becomes more like a coordinated autonomous workforce of specialized agents.
The technical definition says MAS are AI agents interacting to achieve complex goals, often deployed independently in distributed environments.
Okay. But what does that actually mean for someone listening? Can you give us a simple analogy?
Sure. Think of it like a digital project team, but completely self-directed. So
Yeah.
instead of asking one huge language model to, say, write a new software feature, you might deploy a team of agents.
Yeah.
Agent 1 does the research and gets the data. Agent 2 writes the code.
Yeah.
Agent 3 handles compliance and testing. Agent 4 maybe interfaces with the human user.
And they coordinate automatically.
Autonomously, yes. To deliver a complete, complex project, the main goal here is automating these highly complex processes.
And the benefit of using these modular specialized agents? Well, the analysts note it enhances efficiency, speeds up delivery, and, quite importantly, significantly reduces the risk of AI hallucinations.
Ah, right. The unreliable responses.
Exactly. If your research agent module is proven reliable, you just reuse that module across different workflows. It limits the opportunities for the AI to just make things up.
Which leads perfectly into prediction number 3, this massive pivot towards domain-specific language models, or DSLM.
Yes. Gartner forecasts that over half, more than 50% of the generative AI models used by companies in the next 3 years will actually be these DSLMs. Sometimes they're called small language models, or SLMs.
That feels like a huge shift away from the idea that one giant generalist LLM, like a GPT, whatever, will eventually just handle everything. Why this dramatic turn towards specialization?
Because those general LLMs, while they're fantastic for, say, creative writing or summarizing broad topics, they're surprisingly poorly suited for highly specialized, high-stakes tasks. Think about it. Would you trust a general LLM trained on the entire internet to give you a definitive legal interpretation or a medical diagnosis?
Probably not. The risk seems way too high.
Exactly. The risk of hallucination or just plain inaccuracy is too great. It could lead immediately to non-compliance issues or even lawsuits.
So the specialization is really about mitigating risk.
Precisely. DSLMs are specifically trained or fine-tuned on data unique to a particular industry. Think medical journals, specific legal codes, proprietary engineering blueprints.
Right. Focused data.
That targeted training offers vastly increased accuracy, much better reliability, and crucially helps ensure regulatory compliance for those domain-specific needs. You wouldn't hire a general handyman to wire a nuclear reactor, right?
You'd want a specialist.
You hire a specialized master electrician. DSLMs are essentially the master electricians of the AI world.
Okay, so if those first 3 predictions define the AI architecture, the next set seems to define how we protect it all. We should probably combine prediction 4, AI-based security platforms, with prediction 8, preventive cybersecurity. They feel like two sides of the same security coin.
That's a good way to put it. So prediction 4, AI-based security platforms. By 2028, Gartner sees more than half of companies using these.
And their main purpose.
It's fundamental, really, securing the AI applications themselves, whether they're third-party or custom-built, and also making sure that the DSI leaders, the security folks, can actually enforce governance policies across all the AI activity in the enterprise. It's like the AI security manager.
Got it. And then the longer-term strategic shift is towards prevention. That's prediction 8.
Yes. The sources say DSI leaders will move away from just reactive defense, detecting and responding after something bad happens, towards proactive protection by 2030.
Proactive, so stopping threats before they hit.
Exactly. It's a fundamental change in philosophy and also in spending. Preventive solutions, things like predictive threat intelligence, automated mobile target defense using AI and machine learning, they're expected to account for half of all cybersecurity spending.
Half the budget on prevention.
Yeah. Instead of just building taller firewalls after the fact, businesses will be investing heavily in capabilities that try to predict and prevent attacks. The idea is massive cost savings because preventing a breach is exponentially cheaper than cleaning one up.
Makes sense. Okay, let's shift now to development, data creation, and that crucial element, trust. Prediction number 5 concerns AI-native development platforms. This sounds like where the human workforce really starts merging with the machine in the creation process.
It really is. By 2030, the projected shift is staggering. 80% of companies are expected to reduce their software engineering teams to basically half human, half AI teams using these platforms.
80%. Half human, half AI teams.
And The really revolutionary part is that non-technical staff will be empowered to produce specialized software. Now, granted, it will be within strict AI security and governance guardrails, but still.
That dramatically changes who gets to build technology. But I had to bring up that vulnerability again. What about the potential hallucinations of the AI that's supposed to be the guardrail? If the AI is meant to ensure security and compliance, but the AI itself can be fallible,
Yeah,
doesn't that create a massive single point of failure?
it absolutely does. That's a critical point. And that vulnerability means we need solutions beyond just traditional code debugging.
Right.
When you have AI building the software and AI guarding it, you need a reliable way to check the integrity of the guardrail itself. This points towards needing things like formal verification.
Formal verification.
Yeah, where maybe a separate specialized AI system is used to rigorously check the guardrail's logic against known specifications and requirements, making sure the guardrail itself actually adheres to the strict standards before you deploy it. The rise of these AI development platforms will absolutely drive demand for these kinds of AI-specific verification tools.
This inherent need for trust, for verification, brings us neatly to prediction number 6, confidential computing.
Yes, this is the method for isolating extremely sensitive data and workloads inside what are called trusted execution environments, or TEEs.
And the key benefit here.
Protection, even from parties you traditionally had to trust. Confidential computing aims to ensure data confidentiality is preserved even from the cloud providers themselves or the owners of the infrastructure the code is running on. The data stays encrypted even while it's being processed.
And why is this suddenly becoming so essential?
Well, it's crucial for heavily regulated sectors, think finance, healthcare, and increasingly for any operation facing geopolitical risks.
Geopolitical risks, okay.
If you have highly sensitive intellectual property or maybe proprietary customer data, you simply cannot risk it being viewed by anyone unauthorized. And that includes potentially the company hosting your server if it's in a different country with different laws.
Right.
Gartner predicts over 75% of operations will be secured this way by 2029. So this is becoming a fundamental layer of modern cloud security.
Speaking of trust and also liability, prediction number 9 is about digital provenance. As we rely more and more on third-party software, open source components, and especially AI-generated content, verifying where stuff came from, who owns it, and if it's been tampered with, it becomes mandatory, right?
Absolutely mandatory. This is all about managing the supply chain of knowledge and code. Things like software bill of materials, SBOMs, develop code signatures, digital watermarking. These will become standard, non-negotiable practices. The source material actually warns that failing to ensure digital provenance could risk sanctions reaching into the billions of dollars.
Billions, wow.
The legal and compliance risks of unknowingly deploying, say, unchecked AI output or maybe code with a hidden vulnerability, they're just too high to ignore, especially in regulated industries.
Okay, we've covered digital shifts, digital trust. Now let's look at the physical world. Prediction number 7 is physical AI.
Right. This is the AI that powers things in the real world. Robots, drones, smart equipment that operates autonomously in complex, unpredictable environments. This is a huge leap beyond the simple, repetitive robots we might see in factories today.
Can you give us a concrete example of this physical AI in action? Something beyond just a generic robot.
Sure, imagine an autonomous warehouse robot. But instead of just running a pre-programmed route on a fixed path, it's constantly processing unexpected things. Maybe human workers crossing its path, spills on the floor, changes in inventory placement that weren't planned. The physical AI lets it adapt its path and maybe even its task priority instantly without needing a human to intervene.
So it's much more adaptive.
Exactly. Now, this creates immediate opportunities for collaboration, maybe upskilling for the human staff working alongside these machines. But the analysts also urge caution. Without careful change management, it definitely raises significant concerns about potential labor displacement.
Yeah, a recurring theme. Now, this need for trust, whether it's trust in data, like with provenance, or trust in the location, like confidential computing, brings us to the final, really massive geopolitical trend Gartner sees defining 2026. Prediction number 10, geopatriation.
And this isn't just industry jargon. It's a significant strategic reversal. It reverses the decades-long push towards centralized global cloud adoption that we've seen.
So what is geopatriation exactly?
It's the movement to repatriate, basically bring back home data, applications, and workflows from the big global public clouds back to sovereign infrastructure.
Sovereign meaning national, regional, or local.
Exactly. National, regional, or maybe even local infrastructure. This is a direct strategic response to rising geopolitical risks, concerns about espionage, and the need for data sovereignty under strict regulatory regimes, like GDPR in the EU, for example.
That sounds like a potential logistical nightmare for large multinational companies. What's really driving this hard policy shift? Is it just regulation?
It's a combination. Regulatory compulsion is a big part of it. Governments are increasingly demanding that sensitive data must reside physically within their jurisdiction. That makes compliance impossible if you're only using global hyperscalers located elsewhere.
Right.
But it's also about risk reduction. So that necessity is driving major investment in local sovereign cloud ecosystems. Gartner actually considers geopatriation to be the single strongest trend of 2026.
The strongest trend.
Yeah. They predict that by 2030, over 75% of enterprises in Europe and the Middle East will have made this move.
75% in Europe and the Middle East by 2030. That's a massive infrastructural pivot. It implies huge local investment, right? Building out all these new sovereign data centers.
Hundreds of billions, most likely, in local investment. It's a fundamental reshaping of the cloud landscape.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me, because we move from these big predictions to the how.
Right. How do they actually figure this stuff out?
Exactly. How do analysts and businesses arrive at these, frankly, transformative projections?
Yeah.
It starts with powerful tools, yes,
Yeah.
but also structured methodologies. And these are things that are accessible to you, the listener, today.
Absolutely. But before we dive into the specific software tools, we really have to emphasize the human element first, the methodology.
The framework.
Exactly. AI is only as good as the questions you ask it, right? Real analysis requires structure. You don't just dump a load of data onto an AI and hope for the best. You need to structure your inquiry using established analytical frameworks.
And for deep market foresight like this, our sources highlight 3 key analytical frameworks that AI can now help execute at speed. First up, PESTLE.
PESTLE.
This helps identify those non-technological forces that will critically affect the adoption of all the tech we just discussed. Political, economic, sociocultural, technological, ecological, and legal factors.
Right, and you can use AI for this. For instance, you could import dozens of articles about global AI regulations and then ask an AI tool to synthesize, say, the 3 biggest threats specifically from the legal category mentioned in those sources.
Speeding up that analysis massively. Okay, second framework, Porter's 5 forces.
Ah, classic Porter. Essential for evaluating the competitive landscape in specific subsegments.
Like the Gen AI tools market, maybe,
Oh,
or the memory chip sector we touched on.
Exactly. Porter's framework forces you to analyze things like the threat of new companies entering the market, the bargaining power of your suppliers and your buyers, the threat of substitute products or services, and of course the intensity of rivalry among the existing competitors.
Let's run a quick thought experiment with Porter's. Say you input sources about that emerging neuromorphic memory chip market we mentioned. How would an AI use the bargaining power of suppliers' force?
Okay. Well, the AI could analyze the key players involved, let's say NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, maybe some startups. It would look at their current market share based on the data, their recent investments in specialized chip fabrication, any critical patents they hold, and the AI synthesizes all that data to assess their overall negotiating power. It gives the analyst a quantifiable metric for supplier risk much, much faster than trying to piece it together manually from dozens of reports.
And finally, the third framework, SWOT analysis.
Right. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. This is where you synthesize the final outlook.
Identifying the strengths and weaknesses of the key players and the opportunities and threats in the global market, specifically looking towards 2026.
And again, AI can accelerate this. You could potentially import your entire PESTLE and Porter analyses, feed them into an AI tool, and ask it to generate a cohesive SWOT table. It helps complete that strategic picture.
So the ability to run these complex frameworks efficiently really relies on AI for handling the massive data collection and synthesis involved.
Absolutely. Which brings us to the tools themselves. Let's look at the software that puts this kind of analysis within reach, not just for big analyst firms, but for the everyday learner or business analyst too.
Okay, first tool up is described as a powerful asset for synthesis and knowledge management. Notebook LM, which comes from Google.
Yes, Notebook LM. This is potentially perfect for the learner. Its core function is allowing you to import all your source documents, PDFs, maybe transcripts from YouTube videos like this one, internal reports, whatever you have.
Right.
And the AI treats all those imported documents as your own personal, private, locked-down knowledge base.
And the key functionality, what makes it powerful for analysis?
Its ability to perform comparative analysis across potentially dozens of your imported sources simultaneously. It can generate complex summaries, drawing from multiple docs. It can even create things called audio insights.
Audio insights, like a personalized podcast.
Essentially, yeah. Synthesized audio summaries presenting your conclusions and forecasts in an engaging way. But crucially, it's designed with reliability in mind. It's supposed to signal clearly if a piece of information it gives you is not actually present in your original source documents.
Ah, so it helps limit those fantastical AI responses, the hallucinations we talked about.
That's the goal, limiting responses that plague some of the more general LLMs when you ask specific source-based questions.
Okay, now let's move to the really cutting-edge, competitive, and data-driven intelligence tools, the stuff analysts are using right now. First is Thunderbit.
Thunderbit.
Sources describe this as a no-code AI web extractor. It sounds like it tackles one of the biggest pain points in market research, manually scraping data from websites.
It really aims to democratize large-scale data collection. You can basically just point it at a web page, maybe a competitor's product listing, an industry index site, a pricing page.
Okay.
The AI suggests the data fields you probably want to extract, like price, product name, description. And the tool is designed to handle the tricky technical stuff that used to require a software engineer.
Like what kind of tricky stuff?
Things like automatically navigating pages with infinite scrolling, handling complex login processes to access data, or dealing with websites that have hundreds of pages, pagination. It makes sophisticated, ongoing market monitoring much more accessible to a non-technical analyst.
Okay, next tool, Crayon. This sounds like the definition of real-time competitive intelligence.
It really is focused on that real-time aspect. It's designed to alert users instantly when competitors make changes.
Changes like what?
Could be major price adjustments, new product updates hitting their website, shifts in their marketing campaigns or messaging,
Yeah.
across potentially hundreds of digital sources, all monitored instantly.
And what's the most valuable output from Crayon for a business?
Probably its dynamic battle cards. These aren't just static reports you get once a month. They are synthesized, automatically generated summaries, specifically for sales and marketing teams. They contain immediate, actionable, competitive intel.
Like?
Like, what is the competitor saying right now? What's the key feature of their new product release? And based on that, how should our team respond right now? They're generated and updated in real time, giving teams a competitive advantage that's measured in minutes or hours, not days or weeks.
To anticipate the market, rather than just react, you need Glimpse. This tool sounds like a predictive trend detector.
Yeah, that's its focus. It doesn't just look at what's popular right now. It analyzes millions of consumer signals, things like search queries, forum discussions, social media chatter,
Okay.
to try and spot emerging trends before they explode into the mainstream consciousness.
And how accurate is it?
Well, Glimpse claims an incredible predictive accuracy of over 90% for detecting these nascent movements. If true, that allows innovation and product development teams to potentially gain a precious first-mover advantage.
So if some niche concept is suddenly taking off in specific subreddits or maybe on TikTok, Glimpse aims to flag that acceleration early.
That's the idea, giving you potentially months of lead time over competitors who aren't tracking those signals as closely.
And for companies deep in e-commerce, there's Parally.
Yes, Parally seems essential if you're managing a large catalog of products online, and SKU catalog. It's specifically designed for deep competitive monitoring of prices, new product introductions, and competitor promotions.
Ensuring your pricing stays optimally competitive against potentially thousands of other online sellers in real time.
Exactly. Constant monitoring and adjustment.
Okay, finally, let's touch on the more accessible generative AI landscape. The everyday tools that professionals are leveraging right now for quick research, brainstorming, and structured content creation.
Right. The tools many listeners might already be familiar with, but maybe not their latest capabilities.
ChatGPT by OpenAI obviously remains the benchmark. Yeah. But its capabilities have evolved significantly, haven't they?
They really have. The free version, for instance, now uses GPT-5 apparently, offering much better speed and reasoning than older free versions.
And you get some powerful features even on the free tier now.
Yeah, things like web search integration, the ability to analyze files like PDFs and Excel spreadsheets, image understanding, even image generation, all available for free.
But there are limitations,
Yeah.
right? Especially for power users on that free plan.
There are. Access is usually capped. Our sources suggest something like maybe 10 messages every 5 hours before it switches you to a slightly less powerful, alleviated version.
Okay.
And that limitation, that cap, is actually a key reason why we're seeing the rise of powerful, genuinely free alternatives.
Which brings us to Yahoo. Our sources highlight this as a strong competitor, particularly regarding accessibility.
Yes, it's presented as an AI tool that is 100% free, doesn't require any registration or login, and offers unlimited access to both text and image generation.
Unlimited and no registration needed. That level of unconstrained access is potentially massive for the learner or someone just exploring these tools.
It really lowers the barrier to entry.
And for research, that needs to be verified and reliable.
Perplexity AI is mentioned as essential here. It kind of reinvents the search engine concept.
How so?
Instead of just giving you links, it provides an updated synthesis of information on your topic, but critically, it includes precise, verifiable citations of its sources.
So you can check where it got the information.
Exactly. For the learner who might be, prone to accidentally citing inaccurate stuff from a standard Gen AI, Perplexity provides that crucial journalistic or academic backbone that others often lack. If you're doing a market study, writing a formal report where accuracy is paramount, Perplexity's citation feature is invaluable.
Last but not least in this tool roundup, we have Claude 4 from Anthropic.
Right, Claude. It's often noted for its ability to handle really complex tasks, things like advanced coding, detailed analysis of very large documents, and it's often praised for a high degree of logical consistency in its output.
Does Anthropic offer different versions?
They do. You can think of their Sonnet version as maybe your fast, capable daily research assistant, while the more powerful Opus's version is like the deep thinker you'd assign your most complex coding challenges or really comprehensive document analysis projects to.
Is there a free option for Claude?
Yes, even the free plan for Claude is quite robust. It offers something like 40 messages per day using the Sonnet version. Its strength is often described as its transparent reasoning structure. Users working on complex projects seem to appreciate that they can often follow its logical steps more easily.
Okay, so let's try and synthesize this immense scope we've covered in this deep dive.
Hmm.
Feels like the future of technology is being defined by this really rapid fundamental transition away from the generalist model
Mm-hmm.
and towards advanced specialized AI architectures.
I think that's exactly right. We see it consistently across Gartner's predictions. The necessity of those hybrid AI supercomputers we discussed,
Right.
the clear demand for domain-specific language models, the DSLMs, and that shift towards autonomous coordination using multi-agent systems. This specialization, it seems, key for reducing risk and massively boosting performance, especially in high-stakes environments.
And at the same time, this concept of data sovereignty, driven largely by intense geopolitical risk, is making geopatriation perhaps the dominant strategic trend heading into 2026.
Definitely. Data and applications are moving closer to home, physically and legally, and that necessitates these strict trust architectures like confidential computing and digital provenance, just to maintain compliance and reduce liability in this new landscape.
And crucially, what we hope we've shown you is that the tools driving this market insight, whether it's the synthesis power you get from Notebook LM or the real-time competitive edge from Crayon, or even just the easier data access offered by 100-bit, these tools are accessible right now. They allow you, the learner, to move from just being a passive observer of the market to becoming an active analyst, translating these big predictions into actual strategic advantage for your organization, or maybe just for your own career.
Exactly. We started by looking at those seismic corporate moves, the layoffs at Amazon, the huge investments by Microsoft and NVIDIA, and those moves were clearly motivated by the kind of future structure that Gartner is now predicting. The market isn't waiting around.
It's already adapting.
It really is. And maybe as a final thought, something for you to mull over, our source material mentions that the upcoming end of Windows 10 support in 2025 is like the tree hiding the forest.
Okay. The tree hiding the forest. What's the forest then?
Well, beyond the obvious immediate need for businesses and individuals to upgrade their hardware and software to Windows 11, what deeper underlying market shift does the end-of-life cycle of such a major operating system really signal?
Is it just a forced hardware upgrade cycle designed to sell new PCs?
Or is it signaling an inevitable, maybe even forced transition towards much deeper AI PC integration? Does it demand more powerful, specialized local processing capabilities right on our desktops and laptops, maybe for running those DSLMs and multi-agent systems locally?
AI moving from the cloud down to the device itself.
Potentially. And if so, what does that demand for new, powerful, and importantly trusted local hardware mean for the requirement for enhanced digital provenance, ensuring the hardware and software on your machine are genuine and secure?
That's definitely something to keep a close eye on, especially as we see this AI paradigm potentially shift from being purely cloud-based down to our personal desktops by 2026. Lots to think about.